Here is a simulation example. You may recall this example. It was a quiz problem that we gave a while back. What it's about is batteries. We have a company that makes batteries, and they have information that about 10% or exactly 10% of the batteries are bad that come off the production line. So they're defective. And the remaining batteries are okay. They're working. They're in good working condition. So they want us to conduct a simulation to see how many batteries we would have to pull off the line, so select or take from the production line, in order to be sure of getting 10 working batteries. Okay, so I may digress from a little bit to sort of just cover everything, but the first thing you should do is identify the component. That's sort of like the single event that's going to occur over and over again. And so the component is just selecting one battery. Maybe it seems obvious in this case, but you may on the test get something a little bit more complicated, so you ought to think through what's going on. What's the single element that's going to repeat over and over again? Okay, so that's the component. Then you would want to kind of just make a note. What are the outcomes? So here again, it's pretty easy. We can use the language that they use: defective, or working. Those are the two outcomes. So I like to sort of get the assignments out of the way. Okay, so here what we want to do is we would say let 0 represent a defective battery, and let 1 to 9 represent working batteries. Okay, so I'm going to digress just for a minute. If you didn't need to use all the numbers, make sure that you say ignore. For example, let's say we had 3 women and 4 men, and we needed to select 3. And so they were asking us, like, what's the likelihood that we would get all men or all women? So there we would just assign 0 to 2 women, and from let's see, 3 to 6, is that right? Yeah, 3 to 6 to be men, and then we would have to say from 7 to 9 ignore. So here we don't have to do that, but I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that, since you're probably watching this video as a way to study for the test. Okay, so that's something that you would have to add. Now, this is not sufficient to move on and do the trial. I know there's some people that think it is, but you have to write a description. And I think the thing to picture in your mind is you're explaining to somebody else what to do, and this needs to be sufficient. So here, what you need to do is say something like, we will, sorry, getting a little sloppy here. It's not easy writing with this electronic pen. We will use single I guess I'm going to change this. We will use random, random single digit numbers with the assignments above to represent the batteries pulled from the line. Okay, some kind of reference to what we're doing. Okay, and then one thing you need to say here is, what's the stop condition? When are you going to stop? So we will stop when we get 10 numbers representing 10 working batteries. Something like that. And the final thing that you would need to do, it's sort of like going back to the assignments, is will you ignore repeats? Okay, and on this problem we don't have to, or we shouldn't. But obviously in the case where we had 3 women and 4 men, then if we got a 2 the first time, so we would say, okay, that's a woman, and then we got like a 3, then we have a 3, then we have another woman. Well, then if we got a 3, we wouldn't count that. We'd have to skip it. We would ignore repeats. Okay, so on this problem we don't have to do that. But those are some things that I'm not able to model with this particular problem. Okay, so that's the trial description. Okay, so make sure you include that. The final thing that you need to do is define the response variable. This pen. And what you don't get too confused here. Make sure that you're just talking about one trial. So for one trial, we will count the total number of batteries required. We'll just count the total number of batteries. Something like that. That's all you have to do. So when we move on to the trial, make sure that you say some kind of notation somewhere. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that an X means that it's defective. And a check means it's working. So then we know that then the reader can kind of follow along, and the grader of the AP test is going to require this. Also, you need to indicate the trial somehow. I mean, a shortcut would be to just say T1. Just say it like here's for T2, something like that. But make sure it's readable. Okay, so we're going to use trial 1, and the other thing, a good tip, read how many trials it's asking you to do. Because on a test, if you go off and do 10 trials, you're eating up all kinds of test time. Okay, so here we go. So a 1 is good. A 0 is bad, defective. So good, 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 defective, good, good. So how many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so I'm going to stop right here. I always use some kind of notation, and I just say the response variable right here is 12. Okay, we had to select 12 batteries to get 10 good batteries. Now you could start the next trial right here. I'm going to start it over here. It doesn't matter. Okay, it doesn't matter at all. The reason there's so many numbers is that somebody might have said that they're going to use, let's see, 00 to 09 to represent defective, and then they're going to use 10 to 99 to represent working batteries. In that case, the test makers have to provide enough digits for them to succeed. You don't need to use 2 digits in this case, okay? But so the main point I'm trying to make here is don't feel that you have to use all these numbers. They said 3 trials, just do 3 trials. Okay, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So for this one, the response variable is 10. So finally, trial 3. So start off with a bad defective battery. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, bad, 7, 8, 9, bad, 10. So the response variable here is 13. Okay, so to answer the question, okay, there's sort of a difference between the response variable is for each trial. Then I call it the simulation statistic. So that's going to be, in this case, it's going to be the maximum. In other cases, if they just ask, what would you expect? How many batteries would we expect? Then in that case, they might be looking for an average. Okay, so it depends on the problem, what the simulation statistic is. So here, we're going to say, according to the simulation, we, or you could say, let's add some context. The company will need to pull at least 13 batteries from the production line to be sure of getting 10 working batteries. Okay, so make sure that you say according to the simulation, make sure that you provide numerical evidence, and make sure you provide content or context. So talk about, don't just say 13. Talk about what the situation is and refer back to the original question. Okay, pull off the production line. So use the terms that are provided in the description of the problem. Okay, so that's really checked a lot on the AP test to see if you really understand why you're using the mathematics. Okay, so I think that's a quick review of how to do a simulation. So good luck.